Hello everyone. Today I have just come with a chapter of work power and energy. You guys have told me that to make a video on this chapter, so I'm just revising all of the concepts related to this chapter, that is of work power and energy. So at first we'll talk about work. What do you mean by a work? For example, work is done if you just push a table. It moves along the ground in the direction of the applied force. So that means suppose if you have an object and you are applying some force in that direction like that, and if the applied force is an unbalanced type in nature, so obviously the object will change its state from the state of rest to motion. Otherwise, we can say if you apply some unbalanced force to an object, so in that case, if the object was moving with some velocity, suppose in this case, I am saying it is moving with a velocity of v meter per second, right? So it's moving with uniform velocity, or you can say it is moving with uniform speed. So if you apply some unbalanced force, it may accelerate or it may decelerate, right? Now in this case you are applying some force, and for this case we are getting some displacement. In this case we are getting some displacement like that, and if the displacement is represented by s after applying this unbalanced force, so obviously the object has done some work. So what is the work done by the object? That is equals to the applied force multiplied by the displacement. So work done is expressed mathematically as a product of force and displacement, right? So it should have some unit also. But what is the SI unit of force? It should have a SI unit of Newton, and the SI unit of displacement, that is of meter. So the SI unit of work done is Newton meter. We can write down this is the SI unit of work done. Now, if SI unit of work done is Newton meter, then what will be the CGS unit of work done? If we just write down that the CGS unit of work done, that will be equals to, I'm just writing down the formula again, that is of work done equals to force multiplied by displacement, then the CGS unit of force, that is of dyne, and the CGS unit of displacement, that is of centimeter. So this is the CGS unit of work done, that is of dyne centimeter, right? Now they have different names. That is, the Newton meter is always said as joule. That means we can say 1 joule is equals to 1 Newton meter, right? And this dyne centimeter is known as arc, right? So what can I say? 1 arc equals to 1 dyne centimeter. So work done is defined by the product of force and displacement, and it is having the SI unit as Newton meter. The CGS unit is dyne centimeter. The Newton meter is known as joule. That means 1 joule equals to 1 Newton meter. Even we can say that dyne centimeter is known as arc, and 1 arc equals to 1 dyne centimeter, right? Now we have found that how the work done can be measured in different units, so this should have some relation. That means the relation between joule and arc. So 1 joule equals to what we know, 1 joule equals to 1 newton, and we can say multiplied by of 1 meter. So 1 newton equals to how much dyne? 1 newton equals to 10 to the power 5 dyne, and 1 meter equals to 100 centimeter, right? So I am getting, that is of 10 to the power 5 multiplied by 100, that is of 10 to the power 7 dyne centimeter. 10 to the power 7 dyne centimeter means 10 to the power 7 arc. So what can I say? That 1 joule equals to 10 to the power 7 arc. This is the basic relation between the units. Now the next thing, that what are the different kinds of work done? That means positive work, negative work, and the zero work done we are going to study here, right? That means here I can write down then the types of work done. That is, we will study about positive work. Positive work means how much? Now positive work means what? we know the work done formula, that a work done equals to force multiplied by of displacement. Now if you apply some force on a particular object, and in that case the displacement is in the same direction of the applied force, so the work done should be positive. Now I am taking one example, that a body, it is having two wheels, and I am applying some unbalanced force to this object. So obviously the object will be displaced in this direction. So as you can see, I am applying the force in a particular direction and I am getting the displacement in the same direction. So in this case, the work done is positive, right? Suppose you are pushing a table, you are just pushing a chair, right? Now, or you are just lifting any kind of object. So in that case, whatever the force you are applying, in the same direction the displacement is happening. So that kind of work is known as positive work. Okay, now the next that we'll study about the zero work done. What do you mean by zero work done? Whether the work done can be zero. Now if we just going to study about zero work done, that means, what can I say? Suppose there was a man who was just carrying some load on its head and he is just moving in this direction. We have just taken this example. There was a man who is having some load on his head and he is moving in this direction. So the displacement obviously in this direction, right? But what the force is working on him, that is the weight of the load. The weight of the load is always working in the downward direction. That weight of the load, it can be represented by W. Okay, here W is not the work done, this is the weight of the load. It's a one type of force, right? But you will see that work done is also represented by W, as well as weight is also represented by W. So you can do one thing, that weight can be represented by small w and work done can be represented by the capital one. So in this case, what I am going to tell you, that the force, that is the weight of the load, is working in the downward direction, but the displacement of the object is in this direction as I have directed over here. So what is the angle between them, between force and the displacement? If you just draw some imaginary lines over there, you will find out that the angle between the force and displacement, that is about 90 degree, right? As we can see that the angle between force and the displacement, it is about 90 degrees. So in this case we can say that a zero work is done by that man, right? So when the porter is having some luggage on his head and he is moving in a particular direction, so as we know that the angle between the force, that is the weight of the object, and the displacement is equals to 90 degree. So in this case the work done, that is equals to 0. Suppose I am giving you another example. Suppose that is you and you are having a suitcase on your hand, okay, and you are just working. You are just working on the road. So in this case, what is the value of work done? That the weight of the suitcase is working in the downward direction. That is one kind of force, but your displacement is along this direction. So in this case, as you can see that the angle between the force and displacement, this is about 90 degree. So in this case also the work done, that is equals to 0. Even if if I just take an example of the planetary motion of our Earth, that means this is our sun, right? This is our sun, and there is the orbit of our Earth. As we know, the Earth is moving in a particular orbit around the sun. So obviously some centripetal force is responsible for that, and here the centripetal force is the gravitational force that is applied on the earth by the sun, right? But if you see the direction of motion of our earth, when the object is rotating in a circular orbit, it's not actually circular, it's an elliptical orbit, though we can assume it's one type of circular complete closed path. So in that case, the direction of the motion of that object will be in that direction. At any instant of time, if you want to find out the direction of the motion of our earth, just you have to draw a tangent with respect to its position. Suppose I am just drawing this one at this point, so this is the direction of the motion. At this point, this is the direction of the motion. In this way, you can find out the direction of the motion of a particular object who is just moving in a circular path or in an elliptical path. But if you just draw the centers of the sun and earth with an imaginary line, then you can see that the direction of the motion of the earth with respect to the sun is at an angle of 90 degree, right? Here the displacement of our earth is along this direction, right? If we assume this particular situation, then the displacement is along this direction, which is tangential with respect to its motion, and the force which is working, that is towards the center, which is a centripetal force, and that's actually a gravitational force, right? That is represented by F. So there the angle between the direction of the motion of earth and the force, it is of 90 degree. So when the earth is rotating about the sun, there is no work is done by the earth. So in this case also the work done, that is equals to 0, right? Now we are just going to understand the next one, that is of negative work done. Now what is about the negative work done? So in a negative work done, whether it is possible can the work done be negative? It actually happens because the force and the displacement, whatever the two things we have considered in calculation of work done, these two are the vector quantities. For the vector quantities, they have a magnitude as well as they have a particular direction, right? So this will be used in the calculation of that. Now work done in this case can be found in a particular way, that you have an object and you are just throwing the object in the upward direction. You are just throwing the object in the upward direction. So obviously the displacement is along the upward direction, but what the force is working on it? Obviously when the object is thrown in the upward direction, the only force which is responsible for it, that is the gravitational force, right? That means the weight of the object which is working in the downward direction. As you can see that the weight is working in the downward direction, but the displacement is going on in the upward direction. So they are directly opposite with each other. So in this case, the work done will be equals to minus of force multiplied by of displacement. Actually, there is a different relation between this work done and the force which is acting over here. Later you will understand that work done is defined by a formula, that is of Fs cos theta. This is a trigonometric term which is introduced over here. When the work done, or sorry, when the force and the displacement which are directly opposite with each other, that means they are the angle between them, that is of 180 degree. As you can see that the angle between the force and the displacement, that is of 180 degree. So I have written minus of Fs. So that's why I have just written minus of Fs here. That is the negative work done by the object. Okay, now three kinds of work done we have just studied: positive, negative and zero work done. Now if I ask you that what is the work done against the gravity, that means suppose you are having an object and you are just lifting that object in the upward direction. Suppose you have that object which is having a mass of m and you are lifting that object in the upward direction and you have placed that one at a particular height, right? You have placed that object at a particular height with respect to the ground. This is the ground level and this is the height where you have placed that object. The height where you have placed, that is equals to h. Now if the mass of the object is m, what is the force which is acting on it? That is the mass into gravitational acceleration, right? So in this case the force which is responsible for it, that is of the mass of the object multiplied by gravitational acceleration. This is actually the weight of the object, okay? And what is the displacement? That is the height, right? So if you move an object or if you lift an object in the upward direction, that means you are doing the work against the gravity. So in this case, what is the work done by against the gravity? That is of the force multiplied by displacement, that is of mg multiplied by of h. So work done against the gravity, that is equals to the weight of the object multiplied by the height at which it is being placed. Now we are going to study about power. What is power? How? What are the different units of power? How it is defined, and so on. Now, whatever the topics we have covered, if you have any of the doubt, then please do inform me. Now, power. Power is what? That means how much work you have done in a particular time, right? Actually, power is defined as work done by of time. Suppose you have done 20 joule of work in 2 seconds, right? You have done 20 joule of work in 2 seconds. So what is your power? That is equals to 20 divided by of 2, that is equals to 10 joule per second. So we have just come to know about the SI unit of power, that is of joule per second. It is also known as watt. Okay, so it is having the power of 10 watt. So 10 joule per second equals to 10 watt. That means it is clear that 1 joule per second equals to 1 watt, right? It is the power, that is the mechanical power. So that's why it is expressed in watt. Even if we just consider the electrical power, it is also measured in watt. Otherwise it is measured in kilowatt or in megawatt. Suppose in when you are just buying some electrical appliances, there the power of that appliance is written on it, that it is having the, it can consume the power of 2 kilowatt, 4 kilowatt, 5 kilowatt. Or if you just visit the thermal power station or any kind of power station where the power is being generated, there it is measured in megawatt. Suppose I had visited one of the power station, that is NTPC, where whatever the power that has been generated by the generating station, that was a thermal power station actually, it is of 64 megawatt. So this is the measurement of electrical power in kilowatt or in megawatt, right? Now now we are just going to find out the difference between the work done and the power, right? But before that, we should know that what is the relation between kilowatt, megawatt, gigawatt, watt, right? There are some of the units that we use to measure the power, right? Even in the previous days, the horsepower were used. That means 1 horsepower, that is 1 HP, that is equals to 746 watt. So the concept of horsepower, it has come that when the steam engines were introduced, they were largely employed for doing work formerly done by the horses. So what is the work done by an healthy horse? It is measured in horsepower. So 1 horsepower, that is of 746 watt. Now we are just going to study what is the difference between work done and the power. Work done is what? That means you are applying some force on a particular object and it is moved by some distance. So that is the measurement of a work done. But what do you mean by power? It is, that means what the work you have done in a particular amount of time. So there a concept of time is involved. So we can say that work done by a particular object does not depends on time, but the power of a particular object depends on time. The unit of work done, that is of joule, but the unit of power, that is of joule per second. Even there is a relation, that is of 1 kilowatt, it is equals to 10 to the power 3 watt. 1 megawatt, it is of 10 to the power 6, sorry, it is of 10 to the power 6 watt. Or you can say 1 gigawatt, it is of 10 to the power 9 watt. Okay, now we are just moving for energy. What do you mean by energy? What are the different relations for the calculation of energy? But some of the concepts that to be discussed with the power and work done as well. Because energy is actually how much work you have done. What is your ability to do some work? That's your energy. Suppose at this time I am having greater energy, so I can do more work. But after some time I should have less energy, so I can do less work. So there some of the questions are actually asked on the basis of the relation between power and energy. So now we have a question that in my home there is a bulb of 90 watt, and this 90 watt is the rating of the bulb. In 30 minutes, how much energy will be consumed by it? You have to find out that one. It's a very simple question. So what the things it is given here, that is of the rating of the bulb, it is the power consumed by it. So in this case, the power of the bulb or the power consumed of the bulb is given in this question. That power P, it is equals to of 90 watt. What does it mean? That is of 90 joule in 1 second. That means in 1 second how much energy will be consumed by the bulb? That is of 90 joule. Because power is having a relation that is equals to work done by time. But what do you know about energy? Energy is the capability to do some work. How much work you can do. If you are having greater energy, you can do more work. If you are having lesser energy, you can do less work. So it can be written as energy upon time as well. So power is having two formulas. The first one is work done by time and the second one is energy by of time. So in this case, what you have to find out is how much energy will be consumed by that bulb in 30 minutes. So in this question, how to solve that? At first, gather all of the information what is shared in this question. So the power of the bulb I have written as 90 watt. So the time given in this question, that is of 30 minutes. It is of how much? It is of 30 by of 60. That is of half hour. Okay, so what is the formula to calculate the energy? That power P equals to work done by of time, and work done is also an energy. So you can modify the formula as E by T as well. E for energy, W for work done. So in this case, power that is of 90, energy we have to find out, time period that is of half. So E is equals to how much? 90 multiplied by of half, that is of 45 joule, right? So in this way you can calculate the energy, right? Now this type of questions are very important from your exam point of view, and that formula will be applicable everywhere. Now we are just going to understand what are the different kinds of energies are available over here, right? Now, if I talk about the electrical energy is measured in watt hour or in kilowatt hour, right? As I have said, that energy is the ability to do some work, right? So it have the same unit as work done, that means joule. So if I just write down that SI unit of energy, SI unit of energy, that is equals to joule, and the CGS unit of energy, that is equals to erg, right? So if I talk about electrical energy, it is expressed in watt hour or it is expressed in kilowatt hour, right? So if I just find out the relation between them, that is 1 watt hour equals to how much joule, or 1 kilowatt hour equals to how much joule. That means 1 watt hour, it is of 1 watt multiplied by of 1 hour. That means 1 watt equals to what? 1 watt is equals to 1 joule in 1 second. That means 1 joule of energy is consumed in 1 second. That is 1 watt. If I multiply that one with 1 hour, that means it is equals to 3600 second. So it will become how much? That is of 3600 joule, right? So it can be written as 3.6 into 10 to the power 3 joule. So if in 1 watt hour, that means it is having the energy, that means of 3.6 into 10 to the power 3 joule. So if I just write down 1 kilowatt hour, it is of how much? 1 watt hour multiplied by of 10 to the power 3. So it is of 3.6 into 10 to the power 3 multiplied by of 10 to the power 3. So it is of 3.6 into 10 to the power 6 joule. So 1 watt hour equals to 3.6 into 10 to the power 3 joule, and 1 kilowatt hour equals to 3.6 into 10 to the power 6 joule. Now what are the different kinds of energies we know? If we just go for the classification of energy, at first we will get the mechanical energy, right? What are the mechanical energies are available over here? Mechanical energies are further classified in a potential energy, in potential energy and in kinetic energy, right? Mechanical energy, that means whatever the energy present in a particular object with respect to its state, whether the object is in the state of rest or whether the object is in the state of motion, the mechanical energy is determined by the state of the object. So in potential energy, the object is obviously at the rest position, but the potential energy is measured with respect to the position of the object, where the object is being placed. Suppose in potential energy, what we know, that if you are having some object which is having a mass of m, and if you just lift that object at a particular height, that means if it is defined by h, then the work done against the gravity, it is equals to mgh. This is actually the potential energy stored in that object with respect to its position. That means this is the ability to do some work. It is having some of energy. It is having some potential to do some work, right? This is your potential energy, which is determined with respect to its state. That means the object is in the state of rest, as well as with respect to its position. That means at which height it is being placed, right? Now, if you're having a spring and if you just expand that with the help of some external force, so obviously the spring will be expanded. It should have some energy. If you release that force, it will comes back to its initial position. So at potential energy, with the help of potential energy, you can do some work. So that's why the name itself is a potential energy. At a particular time with respect to its position, it is having some potential to do some work, right? Now, kinetic energy. Kinetic energy means when the object is in motion. Suppose I am having an object which is having two wheels. It is having a mass of m and it is moving in this direction with a velocity of v meter per second. So what is the kinetic energy of the object? It is defined as half of m v square. There is a proof of kinetic energy, that how we are able to derive the formula of half mv square, but we'll know it later. Okay, so potential energy for the case of gravitational work done against the gravity, it is defined as m into g into h, and for kinetic energy we have the formula, that is of half mv square. But there are different kinds of energies which are available over here, that is of chemical energy, the heat energy, light energy, sound energy, nuclear energy, electrical energy. There are different kinds of energies are available. What do you mean by heat energy? That means when an object is burned, right? When a combustible substance is burned, then you will get the heat energy. What do you mean by chemical energy? That means the energy stored in that chemicals. If I'm talking about the fuels, fuels are a one type of chemicals where the energies are stored between in them. When you just burn the fuels, you get the energies. Even you can say that your food contains the chemical energy. When your food is being digested, you get some energy, right? Now, light energy. What do you mean by light energy? That means it's a one type of energy which that in the presence of which we are able to see the surrounding objects, right? Then with the help of electric bulb which can radiate the light energy, and the sun from which we are getting enormous amount of light energy, with the help of that we are able to see the other objects. Sound energy, that means due to the vibration what type of energy is being produced, that is your sound energy. Nuclear energy, due to the nuclear fission or fusion we are able to get the nuclear energy. And the last one, that is of electrical energy, when two dry objects are rubbed with each other, we get the electrical energy. Electrical energy is used to run the machines in factories, electrical trains, lifts, floor mills, right? In our home, the computers, refrigerators, washing machines, bulbs, cleaners. Lot of applications have it have. Now the gravitational potential energy and the kinetic energy has been covered in that mechanical energy. And what are the rest of the energies I have just mentioned? It's having it's not in the mechanical energy, it's having a different classification. Now there is a theorem that is known as work energy theorem. Suppose that object is moving initially with a speed of u meter per second, later it is accelerated and now it is moving with a v meter per second. So why it has changed the velocity? Because I have applied some unbalanced force. So that's why the object is accelerated and the v is greater than u. So the initial kinetic energy of the object, that is of half mu square, and the final kinetic energy, that is of half mv square. So what is the formula for work done? According to the work energy theorem, the work done by the object, that is equals to the change in kinetic energy. Okay, work done by the object, that is of change in kinetic energy, that is equals to half of m v square minus of u square. Right, now with the help of this work energy theorem, we are able to solve a different numerical question where the speed of the object will be given and you have to find out the value of work done. So read the question carefully and gather all of the information what is shared in this question. And the last topic of this chapter, that is the law of conservation of energy. What is that? That it states that energy can neither be created nor be destroyed. It can only be transformed from one form to other. That means the total energy of a system that remains constant. You have to remember this law of conservation of energy, and this is very important from your exam point of view. Now at this point, I am just finishing this session. Thank you so much.